Hello, everybody, and welcome to the third episode of our podcast. We are here with not only myself and Maggie, but we have Maggie's dad here as well. Say hello.
Hi, everybody.
So, what's been going on the farm, Maggie?
Okay, so first off, we got 15 new baby chickens in the mail. And I talked about this before. They come in the mail, like in a box. Our mailman delivers them, like, to the house. And then we have to get their little home ready. And then you kind of pray that they live.
That they don't die, they don't get eaten, they don't.
Yeah. So they start we have like a little galvanized, it's not that little. It's a galvanized like watering trough thing.
And it's very similar to what everybody has seen when you go into like Tractor Supply during chick season. There you've got the little galvanized trough and the chickens and the heat lamp and
Looked like a wash tub to me.
A wash tub. Okay.
yeah.
So you got to keep them warm to start with. So like we got the little red bulb and all that. And then they eat a lot.
Well, they're growing chicks.
They eat a lot. They eat Purina flock grower.
Right now, the adults are eating the flock grower. The babies are eating what's called chick starter.
Oh, starter. So
Yeah.
they eat starter. But they got this little, their little feeder. Like you have to fill it every day. It probably holds like 3 cups, but they fill it every day. Like,
Yeah, well, they waste a lot too. They kick it all over, and they're really not good at the foraging yet like they are when they're adults. So they just,
yeah, but so that's like their sustenance. But then you have to check their butts every day.
Yeah, for pasties.
Yeah. So Tom did that the last round. I've been trying to stay on top of this round. They're over a week now, so I haven't really noticed that I've had to clean anybody's butts. Anyone who had bad butts, I pretty much just pulled all the feathers off when I cleaned it. So then they just kind of had a bare ass like a baboon.
Yeah, it's typically only the first few days you have to worry about pasties. It's because of the dehydration and stress from traveling and then eating them figuring out how to get their water ratio to food ratio balanced. But I mean, after about 3 days, it's very, the pasties are pretty much non-existent.
Anyway, so they've grown a lot, and they've now moved out of the little shed to behind the chicken coop. We made them their own little space behind the chicken coop.
That's right.
So
because they're growing, as they grow, they get stinky and they poop more, just like puppies. They grow and they poop. So
true.
Anyway, since we have Maggie's dad here, we decided today would be a good time to talk about the new project here on the mini farm.
Yeah. So in addition to the chickens arriving last week, my dad arrived on Saturday. Right? Saturday. Yeah.
Monday.
Saturday.
No, you leaving Monday. You came in Saturday. Then you
No.
went to Gilroy on Sunday.
Oh, that's right. Well, when you're old, you can't remember very much.
Right.
So Dave, why don't you tell us about the new project here?
Well, as you get old, nostalgia takes over. And when I was a very young man and I had my first car, was a Volkswagen, what they call Ragtop, which is a sliding sunroof made out of fabric, and produced a car with a big open ceiling, much like some of the modern moonroof vehicles that you see today. Well, being as old as I am and having had a car bug, which I think I inherited from my father, and having owned over the years a number of different kinds of cars, probably, I think the last count I had 8 or 9 Volkswagen Beetles, and I've had 5 Porsches or 6 Porsches. So I wanted to have something to keep me occupied. And so I became interested in trying to find a ragtop beetle that I could restore. And with some help from Tom and Maggie, we located a 1962 Volkswagen Beetle that was available that looked relatively original. By that I mean no one had tried to customize it or change it in any significant way. And it actually drove, it ran, its brakes worked, its lights worked. It was a basic functional automobile. Not going to stay that way very long because we're going to disassemble it in the future and take the body off.
So you're going to restore it?
Yes. Yes, we are going to try to cure the ravages of rust.
Which aren't that bad.
For this vehicle that is 58 years old, to have as small amount of rust as it has is pretty significant. Most cars that age, especially this type of car, have fairly significant rust rot and require quite a bit more work than this car will.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's when we were looking at different vehicles available online, some of them were not very rusty, but looked like they were Frankenstein from about a dozen separate vehicles. And then some of them where you had to try and find the places that weren't rusty. So I think this was a good balance of something that isn't going to be a complete headache, long, crazy project, versus something that is much more, I guess, attainable to complete in our situation where we don't have a shop and a lift and a full welding station, where all the tools and capabilities to be able to do a top to bottom full restoration. So the fact that it runs is, that's huge. So,
well, truth be told, when you look for something like this, most of the looking is done online, and most of the availability that pops up on most of the, what I should say, commercial vehicle sales sites, are cars that are already restored and that have price tags ranging from $17,000 to $30,000. And obviously that was not something we were interested in acquiring. The first vehicle that I really fell in love with was a 1963 Ragtop that had a lot of potential and that I was very interested in. The difficulty was that the car was located in, where was that?
Is that the one in Omaha?
Omaha, Nebraska. And of course the car didn't drive, but then again, you wouldn't want to drive it from Omaha to California. And so trying to arrange transportation was quite a conundrum. And while in the throes of that, Tom and Maggie located this very, relatively speaking, pristine vehicle that was available and much closer.
Yeah, I mean, originally we thought we were, it was in Oregon, and we're like, well, that's only an 8-hour drive to go get it. But it turned out that it was just down here in Gilroy, so only, about an hour drive each way. So that made it very convenient and, what's the word I'm looking for? Very, it was it made sense. So, All right. So the plan, now that the car is here, we built a little one of those metal carports from Home Depot to store it under.
Which is portable. It is not a permanent structure.
Right. So we didn't have to deal with permits. And so now it is parked under there. That will be the VW Bug work area. So what's the plan? What you've been doing a bunch of research and reading? What are the stages that we're going to go through this project?
Well, I've already started. The first stage is called disassembly. And by disassembly, you literally take the entire vehicle apart. You remove the windows. You remove the seats and all the interior trimmings, if you will. The seats are already out. I've done that. Carpeting goes, floor mats go. You disassemble the dash, take out all the functional pieces that are operated from the dash, remove the doors and the windows from the doors and the fenders and the lights and the bumpers. And then you engage in the glorious activity of separating the Volkswagen body from the Volkswagen chassis. So that's probably going to be our major focus for the next 3, 4, 5 days, whenever we get to work on it again. And the following part will be rust repair, removal of rust, and preparation for body work.
Yep, sounds like a plan. Are you excited, Maggie?
I'm always excited.
Yeah, you sound excited.
But I do have to say, have we named it yet?
Oh, you've named it.
So all cars have to have names. And so when it arrived, so we have a trailer. It's really for the tractor, but it's come in rather handy. So the Beetle went on the trailer, and then it came off. And Tom was like, "It's so little."
I did.
In the way he says it, but like he must have said it like 5 times. And then he's like, just like Freddie, who's one of our dogs, who's little Freddie. So Tom at least has been calling it Freddie. I don't know if that's going to stick, but
I think Freddie is a reasonable moniker for a German-made vehicle.
Yeah, little Freddie. There you go. So anyway, that's kind of the new project here at the farm, and I think it'll be kind of slow going at first because we are finally making progress on our long-going original project. So we have been planning an addition here at the house for it's been over a year since we started the permit process, right? It's been about a year.
We are over a year since we started interviewing architects and and I think we are finally, everything has been approved. The only thing we are waiting for is a pre-site inspection to get our permits issued, which I believe just entails us wrapping a couple trees to make sure they're protected from the construction. So that is going to be the big major project going on here. Yeah, let's talk about the addition.
The addition? You want to talk about the addition?
Let's talk about the addition.
Okay.
The addition. So we talked about this is the forever house, the forever home. And I had a house really close to here. And it was just me. And then it was me and Tom. And but that other house had 2 full bathrooms. Okay, well, I guess it counts as 1 3/4 bathrooms, but I consider it 2 bathrooms. It
was 2 bathrooms. It was, I mean, one of the bathrooms was small, but there was a shower and a toilet and a sink.
But technically, realtors call a shower 3/4.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Anyway, so it was 2 full bathrooms. So when we moved here, this house was actually a smidge bigger than that house. But there's only 1 bathroom. 1 bathroom.
Yeah, and when she means 1 bathroom, let's be honest, what we're talking about is 1 toilet. So, which is fine with just 2 people. But once you start having guests and visitors, it becomes, you know.
And you're working from home. So, like, I'm not even going to work every day. So you're working from home. And so anything that's happening in the house, the bathroom is the only bathroom. So the whole goal of the addition in the first place was to add a master suite. And then we're like, well, if we're going to add a master suite, maybe we'll add another bathroom. Well, see, we're in the county and everything was dependent on how do we not have to upgrade our septic system. So the whole project's planning was following 2 rules.
Right. Well, let's backtrack a little bit. The reason we didn't want to update the septic system is because we likely don't have any more room to make a larger septic system. So we had to stick with what our existing septic system could provide, which was 3 bedrooms. And for those who don't know, the way they size how big your septic system needs is by the bedroom, not by the bathroom. So being that our system could only provide enough septic space for 3 bedrooms, and we already have technically 3 bedrooms, we needed to convert our office bedroom, which is being used as an office, to just an office, not a bedroom. This way we could add a master bedroom, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So the other rule is you can't expand the house more than 50%.
More than 50% of the existing square footage.
Correct.
Yeah.
Conveniently, that included our redone garage.
Which we turned into a dog room.
Right.
So thankfully that counted.
That counted as part of our existing square footage. So it's probably 20% smaller than we had thought we would be able to do.
Yeah, but we're still going to add a bathroom to the existing master bedroom. We will convert the office bedroom into just an office, which is basically getting rid of the closet. So it's no longer considered a bedroom. And then our master suite, our true master, will have a bathroom. So we will end up having 3 bedrooms total, an office. The dog room will be enlarged by another, I believe it's 150 square feet. And we will have 3 bathrooms.
We will also move our laundry room. So anyone who knows about kind of older houses and who knows when you find your forever home, there's all kinds of reasons why it's your forever home. So
right. And well, let's go back. This house was built in, was it like 1956, 1957? So it's an older.
It's an older home. But the reason it was the forever house is I work in downtown San Francisco. So I am, if I wanted to drive into the city, about 20 minutes, but I can also take the train, which is very, very convenient. So we are less than 30 minutes for me, basically, taking mass transit into work every day. But we are also literally 8 minutes. It's like, I don't know, 6.5 miles from our house to the San Francisco airport, which when you travel a lot, which I used to feel like I traveled a fair amount.
Nobody's traveling right now, so it's all right.
But my parents visit, and I have a lot of friends that visit. It became apparent, if I had known that this little pocket of area existed when I moved to the Bay Area in 2000, this is actually the 4th house I've bought in the Bay Area. So I could have skipped 3 and just bought one here.
It's just the path that led you.
It's just
Wait a minute. Your first 2 houses were in San Jose.
Yeah, but Dad, if I could have bought a house here.
And you knew about this location before you bought your last house.
Yeah, but when I bought the third house, so the house before this, when I bought the third house, there was a house for sale in this little area, and I was not financially capable of purchasing. But when I bought my first house in like 2003, like the houses in this area would have been the same price as the houses in Santa Clara that I bought. So I just would have skipped a few rounds.
Right.
But regardless, this is my forever house because it's our little mini farm, because we have an acre, and it was all about the property, the location, the land, being county.
Being able to have an area that, I mean, the farm animals was kind of my addition to it. But I mean, really to have a place for the dogs to have room to exercise and run, and just to be able to have a place that felt open, but yet was still close to the amenities that you kind of need to perform your job.
Yeah, it's not just that. I'm really not a country girl, honestly. I like being close to civilization.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
anyway, it was the forever house, but we always knew we wanted to make changes, and I didn't know we were going to do a big addition necessarily, but we knew we wanted to make changes. But since we moved in, the primary frustration in this home is the laundry area, which I would just like you all to imagine. It is the size of a closet, but it had front loading washer and dryer. So literally when you walk in, like if you open the doors on the washer and the dryer, they would touch the wall on the other side and you would be stuck.
Yeah, no, it's a terrible place, setup, whatever you want to call it, for doing laundry. But we're making do, and soon, well, not soon, but soon we'll start the process to get that laundry gone.
So the laundry will move. So
Yeah.
that's part of the dog room change, is the laundry will move.
And then we'll also be able to add that extra, what would you call it, 20 square feet to the kitchen.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Which will then have more than 3 feet of true counter depth cabinets.
Yep. Yes. So that is the sort of big project going on, which is a biggie. And while that's happening, the dogs are going to have to move into our little building that we call the granary, which is actually where we're at right now doing the podcast. And we may actually be visiting my old house up in Willits more often than not, just to be able to take the dogs up and get away while they're doing some of the construction that it requires power to be shut off or water to be shut off. So it'll be good to have a little place to be able to escape to now and then.
It's true. But we've had to do a lot of prep work. Dad's been part of that. A lot of the prep work.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of visits.
Which prep work?
Oh, gosh. I mean...
You mean here?
Yeah, all the prep work here.
Well, I mean, this isn't the first project.
No.
I mean, the first project was we converted, actually Tom did 99% of it, was converting what was a entry porch.
Right. Well, initially the house,
into an entry.
You walked up and to the right was a door into the house and to the left was a door into the garage, and there was no door attaching. So what we did was enclose that so it was a front entryway. And this way, because we converted the garage into a room for the dogs, we didn't want to have to go outside to get to that room. We wanted it part of the house. We want the dogs part of the house. We want them to be able to come in and out and hear them and, have it be another room in the house. So that was one of the first things we did when we came in and did we do that before or after we actually converted the garage? I think we did it after.
No, it was way after.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. That's why I have the pocket door. Remember, we put the pocket door in.
Well, wait a minute though. The pocket door went in before we raised the floor
Well, the pocket door went in before we even moved in, just so we had I said, we had a door.
A way to access.
Yeah, so the master bedroom backs up to the garage, so we put a pocket door in the master to the garage so that we could actually have the dogs come in and out of the house without going through the front door, and this way having the door open so they were actually part of the house, because we want to be able to hear them. We want to be able to, let them hear us and when they're in their crates and whatnot. So yeah. Anyway, we've actually done a whole lot of projects in the last, so let's see, it's been a little over 3 years. Yeah. So why don't you count down the projects that we have done since we moved in?
Okay, so we finished the garage to make it the dog room. Then we enclosed the front entryway. Then we
built all the runs.
Yeah, we built all the runs. I feel like we did that twice.
We kind of did. We built the runs before we moved in, and then they were all chain link, and I didn't like the chain link, so we redid them so they were all redwood. And actually, when we do our next set of runs after the addition, I'm probably going to build them out of cinder block. So
the 4-inch one, the
skinny, small ones, yeah. Because dachshunds like to chew and dig, and redwood is just too soft for dachshund teeth.
And it's tasty, I guess.
I guess they seem to enjoy it.
No idea. And then Tom built the granary. I felt like he did that while I was just in New York. I know it was longer than a week, but
I built the decking and the platform while you were in New York, and then when you got back, you guys helped me put up the walls and the roof.
Yep.
And we converted. We kind of redid the shop so that it. We took these nasty old rusty heavy slide doors off and actually just put a regular barn door on it, and made it much more functional and much more storage.
We actually used real doors first, but then we had part of the fun of working with the county.
Oh, right. That we needed covered parking space. So we took off the French doors and put on doors that were a little bigger so we could actually pull a car back into it.
Right.
So we would have technically a covered parking spot, which we are required to have 2. So
right. We have an acre.
But we need
with
2
parking for like 20 cars.
Right.
But we need 2 covered parking spots.
Right. And now technically we have 3 because we have the carport, which we converted from a 1-car carport to a 2-car carport, and the shop.
Technically we have 4.
Well, right, but that's a portable spot,
a temporary,
so I don't know if that counts.
That's a temporary structure that is not permanent.
Navigating county rules in San Francisco for building, it's nothing like the old Mendocino County building rules. So.
And you sandwiched in between there a replacement of a large plate glass window that was in the living room that had 0 insulation quality whatsoever and provided no fresh air.
It's true.
Yep. So
that was a big one.
Yeah, we were about to get air conditioning AC installed because, of course, being so close to the ocean, when they build these houses, nobody thinks that you need air conditioning. But as we've learned, seasons are just getting hotter, and air conditioning our dog room has air conditioning, and when it gets warm here, I will go sit in the dog room with the dogs. So,
well, the house doesn't have insulation either.
No. At least we do cool off at night when we open everything up. So,
but anyway, this plate glass window, it was huge, and literally you could cook on it.
And it was all warped, and everything looked wavy when you looked through it.
Oh my gosh, it must have been an inch thick. Yeah. When we took that out,
it was very heavy.
It was crazy. We replaced it with 2 double hung windows that open, and
very nice.
It's fantastic. It must have cut temperatures by like.
And of course,
10
let's
degrees.
not forget we also built the goats their little home.
Right.
And most recently, the chickens their chicken coop home.
Mm-hmm. That wasn't hand construction though. That was a kit. That was a box.
Well, it was hand construction, but yeah, I didn't have to. It came just put it together. I didn't have to think.
It was assembly only.
Yeah. And we threw my observatory up in there at some point.
Yeah.
So
if you look at Tom's other channel, if you look at Tom's YouTube channel, he actually has an observatory for his astrophotography, and it has a roll-off roof.
yeah, it was a really ingenious investment to build that in an area that is covered in fog 80% of the year.
His best friend, Carl.
Yeah.
It's his best friend, Carl.
Yeah, real smart of me. Anyhow, so we kind of went off on a little tangent on our little projects, but that's what's been going on and what has gone on here at the mini farm.
Yeah.
So always doing something.
Yeah. Dad typically comes up for
the projects.
For project times.
Yeah. Most recently we've been remodeling my old house up in Willits, just so we have a place to escape now and then when they're doing construction here. And then eventually we'll likely sell it because we don't really need two houses. But for now, it's going to be a very good,
we need two houses right now.
Right now we do, because there will be time. Our contractor expects this to take 5 or 6 months. I told Maggie, let's be more realistic. If he's saying 5 to 6, it's going to be more 9 to 12. So
wait, you just bumped that again. You said, Tom, you said if he says 5 to 6, it's more like 8 to 9. But now you just told all our listeners 9 to 12.
Yeah, I'm just being realistic. Just, it's just what it is.
I don't like that.
No, I know. Anyhow, so it will be nice to be able to take the dogs and get away and work on the old house up there so that eventually you can pay for some of the construction down here.
Right.
So
that house has, we put in new windows, and Tom and Dad redid the upstairs bathroom.
Yep. I mean, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-story house, and we are pretty much complete with the upstairs. So now we have a nice living area where we can put some computers and a couple beds and functional redone bathroom. So now we can take the time to do the downstairs, which really shouldn't take that much once we are really getting into it. I mean, we're just going to gut it out, put in the floors, and then shop at IKEA.
It's true. The IKEA kitchen event is kind of my thing, but we might not wait because that happens in the spring, and this might be happening while we're up there this fall. I mean, why not?
Yeah. No, it'll be another project.
I sense another trip coming.
Yes. So I don't know. I think that's probably about it for today, huh?
Well,
anything else?
Just to give our listeners some perspective, this will be the not counting this home here, but counting the one in Willits, the 5th IKEA kitchen that I have done. 4 here in California and 1 back home in Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, we're not sponsored by IKEA by any means. IKEA, if you're listening, feel free. But the IKEA kitchens, they look nice. They look modern. They go together very well. You don't spend an arm and a leg, but the products are of, I would say, medium to medium high quality. And for the most part, they're very simple puzzles to put together as long as you follow the directions. Mm-hmm. So
our current kitchen, which was clearly redone before we moved in.
Yeah, they spent a lot of money doing it.
They spent a lot of money.
They just didn't have somebody who knew what they were doing designing it.
Yeah. So. And the shelves in the cabinets, literally.
I mean, how many dishes have broken because the shelves fall out randomly?
They literally at least 3 different times. Like, I super glued them in at this point. Every time I can think of it, I think they're all super glued in. But like, my mom was so nice and came up when I first moved in, and she unpacked the kitchen. I think it was the 2nd or 3rd box that she was on, and all of a sudden the shelf just fell, and like plates just piled onto the floor. So never have I had that happen with the kitchens we've done, the IKEA kitchens.
Right.
And they've got cool little tricks that you can do. And every house that we've done an IKEA kitchen here in California, those houses have been sold. And I don't think anyone has ever known it was an IKEA kitchen until after the sale has gone through. And then I give them all of their
instructions and whatnot.
things.
And they're very surprised. They're like, wow, this is all from IKEA? Like, yeah. I think the biggest issue with IKEA stuff when you're working in areas that basically under the sink and the plumbing is because everything is, particle board and MDF board is to make sure that you don't have any water leakage. But that goes with, any of the, random vanities and sinks and counter bits that you buy from Home Depot pre-built as well. So, I mean, unless you're getting custom oak, very expensive, or maple counter cabinets, kitchen cabinets built, everything nowadays is going to have particle board. So,
yeah. So we do a lot. I have to, my dad definitely gave me the home improvement bug. He's taught me a lot. Yeah.
That's because I was granted that gene by my father. I was the guy who always was there when he said, hey, hand me the thingamajig or the whatchamacallit. And I usually knew what he wanted. My two older brothers couldn't function.
Well, I mean, when you get to like this weekend, it was kind of, Friday after work, you're like, oh, so what are we going to work on this weekend? And I'm like, nothing. We have nothing planned for this weekend. We had stuff planned last weekend. We had stuff planned. And this is a little harder because normally we can plan our weekends and say, oh, we're going to work on this weekend because this weekend we have a dog show here and this weekend we have a dog show here. So let's plan this weekend for working. Well, now we have no dog shows. So every weekend we're kind of like, oh, do we have to work on something every weekend? So it's actually kind of nice to be able to say, no, this weekend we're just going to relax and not do anything, so, which is kind of what we did this weekend. It was we did very minimal stuff this weekend.
It was a light weekend.
Yeah.
Very relaxing.
Yeah.
It was a light weekend.
So anyhow, well, thanks for coming up and helping, Dave. And thanks for bringing in the new project to get started on, or you've already started to continue working on now and then when we're not working on whatever else we're working on. That was a lot of working ons. So I think we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Pramada Koradox. And this podcast if you're watching it on YouTube, you can also listen to it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify. And if you're listening to it on one of those podcast networks, you can also follow us at Pramada Koradox on YouTube. So anything else?
No, I think we are going to talk food the next time.
Yeah, I think so. We are going to try and get a friend of ours on who owns restaurants, and we're kind of gonna discuss food and traveling and what everybody's doing now being at home. So I think that's what our plan is. This next round or the round after, we'll see how it goes.
Yep.
So, until then, thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time. Bye.